yet another seamless interwave between the trumpets and the waves.
Quite impressive after our little break.
Yeah, welcome to Catunquit Chronicles. That's the name of the show. And we are very pleased to have a visitor here today. Callum, and I don't remember your last name. What is it, Callum?
Hoxie.
I knew that, but I was just enticing you to say it. Callum Hoxie from Narragansett, Rhode Island.
Yes, that's correct.
Via Maine, is that correct?
Yes, via the other coast of Maine.
All right, welcome here this day. We are very pleased that you're here. I'm here with Ashland Komoric, the one, the only Ashland Komoric, explorer of all worlds. Ashland, I'm noting that you are going to the University of Rhode Island hoop game this evening.
I am.
You're going to see the men play
Yes,
or the women?
The men.
Yeah, I have tickets this weekend to see the women play, so I'm very pleased about that.
And how are the women doing this year?
They had a rough pre-conference, but they're 2-0 in conference and doing quite well, I might add.
That's nice.
You're also part of that university over there.
I am. It's my alma mater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what did you study while you were there?
I studied environmental science and management with a focus in environmental communication, and I had no idea what else was going on around me.
Did you realize...
You had no idea they had a basketball team?
People talked about football, they're like tailgate, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
It meant something different to us back in the day.
Yes. It was a lot of groveling after the shots were administered. And I'm not talking about hoop shots, but there was a lot of tailgating involves alcohol in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. They've kind of put the kibosh on that version of tailgating.
So is everything cool over at the new university? Where you work at the GSO, right?
I do, or the SOGGSO.
Which is? What's the hit me with a lot of acronyms already.
My title's kind of long. It's I work at the Graduate School of Oceanography as a staff member at the Coastal Resources Center and an extension agent for Rhode Island Sea Grant.
My goodness. Yeah, you wouldn't
Can you say all that in an acronym?
Oh, that's a lot of mental power that I don't know if I possess. I could. Okay. GSOCRCRISG.
Is that what's on your business card?
I just say that to people.
Yes. The thing that I have a problem with acronyms because...
Me too.
Particularly scientists, they're inclined to just drop them out there as if everybody knows.
Yes, the military's terrible for those acronyms.
Yeah, it's too much.
I get lost. I'm constantly Googling in meetings what acronyms mean.
There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of meetings with that kind of work, isn't there?
There's a lot of meetings, and there's a lot of meetings to have meetings.
Is there a meeting... Now, when you're at the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, they say, the next time we meet, we're going to do this, and we're going to have done this, and this. And do you go over the things that you did or didn't do accomplish the last time you were out there?
I would say generally yes.
Okay. Right. So that's good. That's good.
It is good. We get
an accounting for some
we get the real-time metrics of where we've been and where we're going and what we've done. Although I do love the things where we have ongoing projects and we don't really know what we're doing because everything's happening all at once.
Yes.
But things are getting done.
All right.
But we just kind of have to be content with that.
Well, what kind of things do you do? I mean, I don't know what you do, but what kind of things are being accomplished?
Oh, well, a bunch of stuff.
It's ocean, like...
Yeah.
By the way, the ocean seems to be rising.
Yeah.
It seems to be. Because you know what? Low tide's not as low anymore. That's how I know.
Yup.
And high tide's high tide's higher.
High tide's higher.
Yeah. Undercarriage of my old car, pretty much rusted out.
Well, that wasn't the reason. The reason was that you drove it through salt water many times.
I mean, sea level rise would contribute to that.
But you're not supposed to drive through rushing water when it's rushing across the creek at a rapid pace. But you're right.
That sounds accurate, but I've never been told that point blank before.
What?
to not drive through moving water.
That's a very important thing. And if you do that often, you should always have one of those little tools that you have in your car to break the
yes.
glass.
You know,
Yes,
I
that's
had one of those.
And where is it?
I don't know.
Keep it.
Do you have one, Jay?
I don't. And the
I've
reason
seen
I
those.
You know, I had one growing up in Maine. I have a twin brother, and I got to use.
Is this the second twin guest we've had?
that would be 2 times 2 is 4.
Yes, that's interesting.
Four twins,
I know
2
my
sets. Statistically, that's a little incredible if you think about it. The pool of guests that you've had.
We don't do math on this show.
Neither do
Keep
I.
Going.
All
no,
right,
but
moving
you're
on.
right. The percentage is pretty high.
Listen, I barely got through stats, but
So you have these
So-
twin situation. Your brother took the glass smasher.
yeah, I could see him doing that.
Okay.
It was, I think, a 1998 Volvo wagon.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like stereotypical Maine old Volvo wagon vibes. And it was my grandmother's, then my mother's, then my older sister's, and then mine. And at one point,
Somebody put oil in that thing.
I think it was almost 260,000 miles on it
Yeah.
by the end. And I'll never forget my senior year of high school. She caught on fire on my way to calculus.
Oh, we were gonna give Volvo a little props there.
that's all
Today
right.
we're
If you
sponsored by Volvo.
If you can make it to 260 before you catch on fire.
Yeah. I mean, she was still running. My brother said, keep going.
Yeah.
He there were flames coming out of the hood of the car. He's like, you got to get to school. And I go,
Action-packed day.
I was like, why are you so supportive of me getting to calculus? I thought you were my friend. And then you could only get out of the car by crawling through the passenger side door.
Oh, I had a car like that
Oh yeah.
in college. Yeah.
And
Everybody.
looking back, I definitely told my mother about this, and she was like, all right.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta do it.
She said, I guess you've got to get better at crawling.
Everything you needed to learn, you could have learned at the age of 2.
Yep.
Crawl better. So, as a dog sitter, I would say,
Wait, how do
Callum-
we get to dog sitters? Is that how you guys met?
oh yeah,
Oh,
we were seeking a dog sitter for our dog, the master dog of all dogs, Clouseau. He speaks pretend French, and he is a very, very fine man.
he barks with a French accent.
He's 112.
He's quite old.
He doesn't say rough. He says ruff. He's so Cal Bissett, not Bissett, Hoxie, Cal Hoxie.
You'll get it.
I never know your last name. It's the toughest one, but it's a very, very appropriate name for this area. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you're amazing with the dog. The dog I felt like the dog had gone through like a therapy session by the time I got back. He was no longer shaking.
Oh,
He shakes. He wasn't shaking and he doesn't shake anymore.
I healed him.
You healed him. You didn't know that. I never told you.
We both went through therapy together. We helped each other.
So about 5 days or something like that, right? And you had
Yeah.
I guess you liked. Did you like it in Catunquit?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. Did you do a walkabout and check things out?
I did. I went to a store, which I'm looking at this beautiful map because I've never been here really before.
Yeah, I
except
know.
for that, I'm not really situated.
We don't normally bring in folks that haven't spent much time in Catunquit
I
to
would,
our
I would,
podcast.
I would say it's in the Blessing Hill area.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Up there.
I checked out that little market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Catunquit Market, yeah.
It was fine. How do you feel about it?
I have to like
It's a
it.
Yep.
captive audience.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Yep.
And I
Okay.
like the people that work there.
Oh, the people are what make the place.
And some of them
But,
are my
It's
neighbors.
small and it's pretty pricey. So
Oh, it was so expensive.
True. Pricey.
Yep.
But it's, the thing
if you
about,
just need something,
Yeah. It's great.
you got to touch the fruit, touch the vegetables, make sure that, they have been around a little bit. But they have good stuff there. They have really the meat department. Like if you like to eat meat, there's plenty of that, and it's perfect. So I would suggest that that's the strength there, and they also have all the essentials and smiles when you leave. It's just what else you need. Catunquit Market, ladies and gentlemen.
Family care.
We're sponsored today by Catunquit Market.
I will say, not a lot of places to get takeout from.
Oh no,
Well, it's getting a little better now, but yeah, we've been kind of a
true.
restaurant food
Or
desert.
by the time I decided to give myself permission to buy takeout, the place is closed.
Oh,
Because you had to wrestle with whether
Yeah,
you
I'm like
should.
the guilt of spending the $5 I have.
yeah. Well, you're not going to get much in Catunquit with $5.
Absolutely not.
We should have paid you in advance of your work, so you'd have some money while you're visiting.
Maybe next time.
It's not easy to be a scientist.
It's not.
No.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in the spring of 2024, so I'm fresh off the press.
Wow.
Wow, you have a job already. That's wonderful.
I do have a job.
And do you have any hobbies?
I do. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, what are they?
Um,
I have to say, I think I witnessed the result of one of your hobbies.
So in grad school, to stop myself from tweaking 24/7,
What's tweaking?
I would describe tweaking as a general state of anxiety and agita.
Okay. We used to do lurking.
Oh,
Lurk.
that sounds scarier.
Yeah, you know what lurking is? I think, Ashley, do you know what lurking is?
That sounds
I know
illegal.
what lurking means.
Like, I think when I think of lurking, I think like somebody standing in a corner.
right.
No, lurking, we called it lurking. Perhaps that's what other people refer to lurking as. But when in college, and very strong physically at that time, both upper body and lower body, and rather svelte at the time, too, because I was playing a lot of soccer. I was able to put myself between two buildings and work my legs and my arms, and if the buildings were close enough, of course, and lurk all the way to the top of the building and then get on the roof.
I have never heard the word lurk used
Jay, that's-
like that. That's like called climbing or maybe parkour.
It was like spider-like activity, but I wasn't the only one that lurked.
Was there a club?
Well, we called it Lurking Club. We did.
I think people do something similar, but they call it parkour.
Parkour.
When you like bounce off of buildings and you like.
Yeah, we weren't big bounders.
So you were more climbing.
Climbers. Yeah. It should attract a hell of a
Parkour's
lot of
a little
attention.
more active, right?
Yeah. Is that a hobby or is that a special interest? That's giving special interest. That's a little unique.
I think it was just boredom. And even though I was at a major university,
Where did you
I had a
go?
lot of energy. I was at the University of Rhode Island at that time.
Oh, twins.
I took a short stint there. They didn't want me to stay too long.
What buildings were you doing that? I mean,
Heathman.
oh,
Yes, right there at Heathman. And it would attract quite a bit of attention, even from the police. So we stopped doing it, but
I
we did it
wonder why.
inside. And, the police didn't have as much influence on it.
You should go down to Rock Spot in Peacedale and see if you've still got the moves.
I don't have the moves. I can tell you right now I don't have the moves because I don't have the hand strength, given my
You could
exposure
just use your
to
back
cold.
and your feet.
I could do some wall sits, whatever that. I saw some people wall sitting while I was playing pickleball. See, that's what I've graduated to, pickleball.
pickleball's deceiving though. It'll get you.
I'm very, very, very fast on the pickleball.
Pickleball. People are like, oh, it's a leisure activity. Not if you're trying.
It's all true. It's all relative to who you're playing with, and then also, yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. So if you're playing with quick people,
Yeah, you can get winded. You can work up a
Have you
sweat.
played?
I have.
I wouldn't call it winded.
I'm the only person who hasn't played.
Cal,
or James.
not winded.
I played in a league, and these people were serious.
Yeah, I'll play sometimes, and
So
I'll
that's
kick
one of
your
your
ass.
hobbies.
I don't think I actually played after that tournament. I went, my cup is full. I feel fulfilled.
And then,
I'm fulfilled with tweaking and working.
Exactly. So, right, back to my tweaking activities.
Your hobby.
So I feel like especially my first semester of grad school, I think I was in fight or flight for 3 months straight. So I was like, something's got to change.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. That's fine. It's good for me, whatever. But I'm like, I need something that I can rot and tweak and let my mind kind of go blank.
Mountain biking.
So I'm like, I'm going to go to my Scottish heritage. And I knew how to knit,
Yeah.
but I learned how to crochet. I taught myself how to crochet.
Is crocheting a Scottish thing?
It is.
Now, that hat that
knew?
you created,
That's knitting.
That's a fisherman's hat.
Yep.
And that fisherman's is a cable fisherman's hat. It's very well done. I would have suggested that it was not homemade, although it has that good quality wool to it. But that did help you with the tweaking.
It did.
I find it funny even to use the word tweaking.
Although that was adult life. That was like while I'm working.
Wait a minute. You're working and working and what do you call it?
Tweaking?
No.
Crocheting.
Knitting?
Knitting.
Yeah.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah, that took me. I told James earlier that it took me 6 months to do this hat because I kept messing up, slipping a stitch,
And pulling it out again.
and then it didn't become a soothing activity. It became kind of rage bait, and then I'd kind of be like, "All right, I'm done."
It's all these new phrases and terms. Rage bait. Could you take the item out of your pocket over there quietly and show, not that thing, the actual hat?
I don't have it with me.
Oh, I thought you did. I suggested you bring it. All right, so there's a hobby.
You know, Jay likes to show things in a medium where there's no visual.
That
We
makes
do a lot of
sense to me.
descriptions. Okay.
Well, I can describe it if you'd like.
True.
I have a semi-photographic memory.
All right.
I just lied. That's not true.
Okay.
It's lichen green.
Oh.
At least that's what the website said when I was ordering the skein of yarn. It's a recycled wool material because we love our planet.
All right.
Even
Recycled wool material.
Even though
Is that
recycling
recycled from an animal?
No, probably from a sweater or something.
from a sweater, yeah, it's from other knit material.
So somebody did all the work to take that thing apart.
Oh,
Well, once you get it going.
here's another term for you. When you unravel a project, it's called frogging.
Well, this is getting
I
interesting.
can knit, and I didn't know that.
Frogging.
Yeah.
I like
Welcome
that.
to the inner circle of knits.
He must be a serious knitter.
He's a knighter. He's the knight of knitters. All right. So let's ask this question that's not related to hobbies, but sports. Did you play some sports when you were doing your thing? And what part of Maine was it?
Southern Maine on the coast.
Okay, so it's close to Portland. Is that correct?
Yeah, like 15 minutes above.
That is the coolest town. I just visited there recently. Went to visit my nephew who lives there, and we had a good time. I would think I've told the audience, or perhaps just Ashland, that Portland's the kind of place where you can go to a bar and say, I'd like to have a lager, and they'll say, and sometimes even the bartender will say, well, you should really go two streets down and then 3 streets over. Go to, and they gave a name of the place, because they're so interested in their beers there.
Very, very interested in the craft.
And then I said, I think I'd like to have shepherd's pie. And she said, oh, don't have it here. Go to the 3 doors down. And then they had every place had a specific, and there were no televisions, showing sports in the bar.
Yep.
It was all discussion about beer. Did we already talk about this, actually?
That sounds about
Not
right.
the TV part. I kind of like not having the TV and having more discussions.
Did you go to a place called Maps?
Yeah.
I love that place.
It's out in the western part of the town. Is that right? Or I don't even know.
I think it's the downtown area.
So sports. You were talking about
Because
sports.
the West End is like big, old mansion houses. That's where I went to high school.
Yeah. Well, we went there, and I know I went to Maps at least once. And there were 2 others that, we had to go to because we had to get this different kind of beer. So they were only serving ales. And then we moved to the lager site. It's a funny place. And funny in that, it's kind of specifics of an experience. But I don't even drink that much, so it wasn't that important to me, and I was very willing to drink the lager that they had right there, and I didn't want to go out in the cold and then go to two blocks down, but I did because they insisted.
They wanted to get rid of you.
But that's part of the main charm. It's like they want you to have a good time.
Everyone was so friggin' nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it,
He's not used to it.
I think
Catunquit, we're nice to one another, but we're silent about it.
I think the main way
And sullen.
is to let people in the know and let people enjoy what we have to offer. I sound like an infomercial. Come to Maine.
And not Narragansett. So I asked about sports three times. I'm moving on to something else.
You never let him answer.
I did play sports. I did.
I remember you telling me this when we were doing the dog sitting.
Yep. Do you want me to?
If you want to talk about it, you can. If you think that's stupid, though.
No, it's not stupid. It's part of my lore. I played soccer for a bit.
Yeah.
I skied.
Yeah.
And my main sport, though, I for a while played lacrosse, but played it year round.
That's what I remember. Yes.
It sounds like all these sports are in the past. You're using the past tense with these.
Very much in the past.
Ashland's very averse.
Even skiing?
No. I mean, not as hard as when I was younger, but I like a leisurely ride down the mountain.
That's the only way I go. I mean, I know you'll go off anything, but I heard this. This is interesting information. Wyoming, where my sister-in-law happens to be currently skiing with her husband, my brother-in-law. They are actually skiing without the help of what are those dudes and women that are on the mountain? Guides.
Oh, because the
ski
patrol's on strike.
They're on strike. Yes. Never heard of that before.
Yeah, any of the Vail, they're striking against Vail Resorts, which owns a whole bunch of mountains.
I kind of support them, but I also wouldn't go if there weren't people to help.
Well, apparently it's more than just the ski patrol because they all work for Vail. So the people who work in the ticket office and all this are striking in solidarity.
Oh, so maybe they're not skiing.
Well, apparently I know in Park City there are very long lines.
Or hike up yourself.
You
could
backcountry ski, yeah.
That's my first experience skiing. My sisters were permitted to have ski passes to go up the mountain, and I wasn't worthy of that. My skiing wasn't good enough. I was too young, so I had to walk up the mountain. First, I tried shuttling sideways with the skis on.
What mountain was this?
Klein Innsbruck.
Oh. Well, that's a mountain you can walk to the top of.
It's really not a mountain.
Is that ski hill still with us?
I don't think anybody skis it anymore. It's probably become condos. I'm going to suggest that's a good array of sport activity.
Sure.
And that you should.
This is important. I grew up sailing.
Oh, that is important.
Still sail?
Yeah.
I do, and I love to sail. Every time I get on the water, I have a big fat smile on my face and my cheeks hurt.
My Eva, my wife Eva, she said that she's had an activity with the group because she works with you.
Yep.
And she went sailing, and then you were the leader of the sailors, you actually guided a boat or something.
I did. Well, that's
that's captaining. I think it's called.
Yeah.
I should know that.
I was the skipper.
And you skipped out to the island and around.
Sounds like he's never been on the water before.
You skipped out to the island and around.
And
right?
In my head, when I said I can do it, they were like, "Yep, sure." I was like, "Wow, I could be lying through my teeth."
Yeah, but you knew how to do it.
Maybe I was giving off the vibe that I could do it. I mean, I can, but in my head, I was like, they don't know me, and they're just letting me take this $16,000 boat with my coworkers.
Oh, yeah,
by myself. That's
very cool.
It was a very cool experience.
I'd be more concerned if it was a powerboat.
It's funny how people. Well, true. It's funny how people give assume something about someone's ability. There is a story. Can I tell it?
I'm sure
Do you
you're going to
remember?
tell it even
Did I
if I
tell
don't
it?
give you permission.
I know that this story is like one of the only couple of funny stories out of World War II from my father, and it's funny, but it's tragic too. Of course, there was a lot of tragedy in World War II.
One could say.
And they were up near like some sea. I don't know where the hell it was. Maybe the Baltic Sea or someplace. And the Nazis had. Can we say Nazis? Yes.
I think so.
The Nazis had their own yacht club up there, and there were these big sailing vessels, and the Nazis all took off because they were getting wiped out, and there was battles and everything. But then there was a day where they just went down to the yacht club, and the dudes that my father fought the war with were all from Oklahoma. And they assumed, because my father was from Rhode Island, that he had sailed. And my father had sailed. He had sailed a dinghy once. And my father said, I don't know how, but we got the sails up, and the boat was massive. It had 2 masts, and it had a galley, and it had liquor, and these guys are tuning up, of course. They were all tuned up. And my father was the skipper, and he said, we got the sails up, and they didn't have an engine or anything. And they just, well, at least he didn't know about it. So they got the sails up, and they're going along really well. And he said, things are going great. And then every once in a while you hear like, boom, boom, and nobody cared. We just kept sailing. And then it was time to come in. The guys were so drunk, and I had no idea how to stop it. So... The Nazi yacht guy was there at the dock, and he's waving him down, and he just stove the front of the boat right into the pylon, and then everybody just jumped off. And that was the end of that day. But it was like Herman Goering's boat or something, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
It was a nice ship. But it was, it served its purpose. They got one day out of it. They got one good day out of a war that they didn't really want to be involved in. But, this movement of nationalism took over. So that's that story about sailing. So my father was given this truly a responsibility that he really didn't deserve, given that he only had one day of sailing and dinghy.
Luckily for your coworkers, you had a little more experience.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's like, I know I have that skill, but no one else knows I have that. And I've just been talking about it. So I felt like this pressure to prove myself. And I did.
But you stepped up. Because you know why? Because you had that experience with those other sports and those other hobbies. And you build this sense of accomplishment. And then you build off of that. This woman that I'm sitting next to here knows all about that. Don't play soccer against her. You're going to suffer. She's kicked me in the back of my legs more than anybody.
I suffer when I play soccer against you.
Because I'm an eel. Yes, I know.
Are you a scrappy player?
Yeah, because I don't have any real skills, so I have to be scrappy.
Being scrappy is a skill.
But she's clever with the tackling. And then the other thing was, I was always slimy because I sweat, even in the middle of winter when we were playing.
So you're like a little
if you
slippery
bump into
seal
them,
on the field.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this.
I want to change my shirt.
I think I'm getting the picture.
She's just thinking about it now. But you often took the challenge because I used to be pretty good at the game, and you took the challenge and you stepped up.
I had a blast.
True. I have another question for you, but it's not on sports.
Yeah, hit me.
I want to know more about this this exciting and very interesting trip that CRC sent you on to Newark, New Jersey, the capital of conventions.
Yes.
Now, wait a minute. Let me preface that by saying that I happen to know Eva's told me that a lot of your colleagues travel to Fiji and to Galapagos Islands. And they go
And,
to.
and
Even-
did they say,
even like-
Callum,
But-
I got a trip for you, and
you
you
went-
got all excited? And
I
then,
And
think
you went
I,
to Newark, New Jersey.
I went to-
Nothing wrong with Newark, New Jersey, by the way. Been there. I've done a lot of recruiting in Newark.
Yeah.
Newark's a place where you can get a parking spot
yep.
on the street, but as long as you give somebody $10.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to expand my professional network in Newark, New Jersey. And dualities exist. And I also was going to Newark, New Jersey to expand my network. Did
you snowshoe there?
Sounds like the company line.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, he's speaking to the husband of his boss.
I'm just covering all of my bases. It's cool to try. I hadn't traveled really that much since I came back from Australia. But I have a coworker who went to Denver, Colorado. I have a coworker going to San Diego, and I went to Newark.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the coast of Denver like?
Some may
You
say
can see it from some of the tops of the mountains.
some may say that it doesn't exist, but it's there.
It's there in the computers.
You just have to see it yourself.
So are these like general environmental things and not just related to the sea?
These conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's where they get the cheapest.
So all the
hotel.
coastal people come to Denver, even though there's no coast there, and talk about coastal resources stuff.
Let me suggest that there's probably on that convention only, but there's many conventions at the seashore. Is that correct?
Yeah. I would say.
I attended one in Rhode Island.
Yeah, typically congregate towards actual physical water, because I think a coast is a state of mind, which I think Denver has. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because you have the mountains and the Front Range. It's
And
sort
the
of like a
pot.
coast when you look over into
Lots
the
of good pot.
what do you call those grasslands there, the prairie or whatever.
Yeah.
A dale. That's called a dale.
Oh,
Over hill, over dale, right?
I don't think when you look and as far as you can see is
The
just
valley.
grass swaying in the wind. That's not a dale.
well,
That's a prairie.
that's the edge of the earth.
That's right. I should have known. That's a prairie.
So he's a flat earther.
Therefore.
You know what?
Don't get too far
I would
with
like
that
to
theory.
clarify. I am not a flat earther. However,
Some of the ideas are good. I mean, really, let's think about it. All this roundness, too much roundness in this
Cal in
universe.
1688 would be like, that's legit.
Yeah. Well, okay. But
You-
we're not in 1688.
You know what? But it's always good to put ourselves in other people's shoes. So if I'm gonna make up that I'm a person, but I'm me back in 1888, I think I have the internal reflection to know that I would be a flat earther.
Let me just see. You said 1688 first. Now it's 1888. I think it's
He'd
all
still be believing in
it's all
1888.
bullshit.
I think it would take until the 20th century for me. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. Let's get on to real questions about real things. Do you snowshoe to work? Oh, no, let's take that one out. What is it like to have a first job in Rhode Island and then try to get housing in Rhode Island?
The job feels great,
Yes.
validating.
The housing sucks.
The housing.
You're
I guess
living in Narragansett, one of the nicest places in the world.
that's correct. Except I'm using 75% of my monthly paycheck to pay for rent.
Right. So that's what I wanted to know. Now I know the real deal.
And it's only a 9-month rental.
Yeah.
So you're going to live in your car for the summer.
And it's only 500 square feet.
Yeah, you don't need a lot.
As I said to my mom last night on FaceTime, the only place that can hold my body is my bed.
Hold your body. What's that mean?
Like, my couch is so small, I can't lay down on it.
Oh, okay.
And it's not deep enough that it's like a doctor's office waiting room. I can almost touch my arms hand to hand with my arms out on either wall of my living room.
Lurking.
Sounds like my first.
Yes, lurking.
Sounds like my first house first place I rented in Catunquit was like that.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I had my first rental, $106 per month.
What?
And it was...
He's old.
1, 2, 3, 4 rooms, but the fourth room was the kitchen, and it had a bathroom off of it. A second floor. How about that? In bucolic Warren. Nice. Loved it. Okay, so on to the next question. Are you going into seclusion after January 20th like the rest of us podcasters? Because you're a podcaster too.
I am. I would say no. I'm not. I think... Well, could you define seclusion for me?
Okay, so what are you going to do after January 20th that you're not doing now or do differently?
Or are you gonna
by the way,
stick your head
January
in the
20th,
sand?
for those that don't know, is the day that Donald P. Mert will become the next president of the United States.
Yep.
Again, P. Mert, last name.
I think I'm going to carry on.
That's Trump backwards.
I think I grieved a little, like I think a lot of people did.
You think it's over, the grieving?
No, I think I'll always hold that, but I think right now I have the capacity to carry on and stand up for myself and others who can't.
Right.
And
Good.
so I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to reword things, reframe things so that I can work within the system that I'm fighting against.
Within the 500 square feet?
Exactly.
I got it. I like that answer. And I think that, you didn't know it was coming, that question. And I'm glad that you have a plan. I hope that your generation feels and acts in the same manner.
Because James is putting his head in the sand for the next 4 years.
I think every reaction, this is going to sound very Gen Z of me, valid.
Yeah, true. So true, though, because everybody's feeling it differently.
Yeah.
And there are people that are, applauding it, and they have their own rationale for that.
All I can say is enjoy the show.
Ashlyn was wondering if we were to be guests on your show at some point.
Oh.
And how much is the honorarium, she said?
Well, I can't speak to that, but I can say that I love the idea of that, but I would say I don't know if it would coalesce with the other information and talking points.
I think you need to tell us, plug your podcast.
Sure. It's called, I guess I can say this, For Sure.
It's called For Sure.
Well,
For Sure.
Well, it's a pun. It's a pun, James. Like
instead of sure,
Don't
it's
start
sure.
with the puns now.
like
Jesus,
like your brain is supposed to tell you like for sure, but it's for sure because we're like the graduate school of
for
oceanography.
sure. Okay.
So it's like SHORE.
All right, I'm glad we clarified that.
And this first season is discussing all of the sectors and groups involved in the offshore wind arena.
I'm not on the wind thing. I mean, I believe in it, but I wanted
That's
to
good.
know. I wanted to know. I believe in wind, and I make wind.
So, are you going to have the pro and con wind people on?
Our goal and how we've set ourselves up is that we are looking at it in a holistic approach. We're not
holistically? He's using shit like that.
I know.
Oh, he's really afraid to answer this one.
I'm nauseous too. We are seeking all perspectives. However, we are not going to promote mis and disinformation.
Oh, okay. So, are you going to bring the fishermen into the podcast or not?
Yes.
Because I interact with a lot of fishermen, and they, some of them,
there's pro and con fishermen.
having problems with it.
Well, it's not black and white.
No. Well, we're not going to talk about that today, but Thank you.
I just talked to a fisherman today about it. So we're very excited.
And so where are we going to listen to this podcast?
Anywhere that you can stream podcasts on Apple Music, Spotify, also on our National Sea Grant and Rhode Island Sea Grant website.
And that's for sure. Sure.
Yep.
Not sure.
Not released yet.
The number 4 or F?
FOR.
Okay.
Okay, so did you grow up catching your own? This is a series of questions coming here. Did you grow up catching your own seafood and making your own yogurt in Maine? Was your next door neighbor's name Tellis or Milt? Is it permissible in Maine to have a junkyard on your own property? Do you hunt deer in your front yard? Are your lobsters crawling up from the sea into large, oddly denim-colored boiling vessels for you and your family to boil alive and then eat daily?
All right.
So let's work that through.
Yeah.
Did you grow up catching your own seafood and make your own yogurt in Maine?
I personally did not.
That's what they do in Maine, right? That's the perception we have.
It's a really big state, though, and a lot of it is not on the water.
It's well, I feel like
the
a
only
fake
part that I care about
I
is
did grow up on the water, and my grandfather was in the Navy, and he had a boat. Well, he didn't like do Navy tasks on the boat. It was for leisure. But
he should have been sailing the Nazi sailing ship.
Maybe I would hate that honestly for the imprint of my lineage, but yeah,
It's not so fun.
it's
kind of harsh.
Yeah,
You never know what you're going to do when you're in the middle of a war.
you know what? That is true, but I hope he would make the right choice.
Okay.
My mother used to catch her own fish up in Christmas Cove in Damariscotta because my great-grandparents who came here from Scotland had a little house up there.
Oh, okay. Was your neighbor's name Tellis or Milt?
No.
Are those main names?
Tellis is for sure.
Oh, this is a main name. I had a neighbor named Mary Estelle.
Love it. That's a beautiful name, Estelle.
Ironclad woman.
I'm sure. Is it permissible in Maine to have a junkyard on your... Oh, that's not very fair of me. Do you hunt deer in your front yard? No.
No.
Do you have a big front yard?
Yeah, I do, but I will say I was captain of the varsity moose wrangling team.
Oh, that's a real dangerous group.
Yep.
Okay, so you have to explain.
Yeah, there were 3 teams, and I was on one of them.
Did you try to knock down a moose and wrangle?
Essentially, yes.
Were you ever successful?
I would say that the moose won every time.
Is that like cow tipping? You know what cow tipping is? Cows are sleeping,
yeah, I
standing
do.
up. That's really wrong.
It is. It is really wrong.
You're worried about my old man in the middle of a war.
So unfortunately, what I just said was
sailing.
all a lie. However, I will say
You're supposed to save that for is it bullshit or not?
I have more bullshit. I have a continuous flow of that. No, I went to a sleepaway camp and people, which is weird because it was kind of a remote camp, would ask me, "Oh, you're from Maine. Do you have electricity? Do you have water? Do you have modern dentistry?" I'm like, "I think." And then at one point, I think I was 14 and I finally cracked and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a freshman captain of the varsity moose wrangling team." And it was a bit for like a week and people really believed me.
Love it. That's fairly good. I'm glad that you brought that bit of that series of lies.
And people don't know enough about Maine, so they actually believe me for like a second.
True. All these questions I made up. What about this? I thought this was actually cleverly. This question, I'm going to give myself some applause here. Are lobsters crawling up from the sea into large, oddly denim-colored boiling vessels for you and your family to boil alive and then eat daily? And do you eat lobster daily? Probably that was.
Are
the
the
question.
denim boiling vessels those enameled blue? Oh yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Took me a minute.
I thought that was very funny that came to my head. I write all these questions.
They're fabulous. I would say, in a sense, yes.
Do you eat a lot of lobster?
You know what? I would say I probably eat more than the average Mainer.
But you're not in Maine, and you only have $5 to eat, so you're probably not buying
Lobsters
lobster.
No, not currently. But when I go home, I do get the question from my parents, "Do you want lobster?"
Yeah, as it should be. That's the best question. Nobody says, like nobody I know says, no, I'd rather have peanut butter and jelly.
Like, that's fair.
Hand went up.
I'm a
Ashlyn.
one lobster a summer person.
Well, that's at least you're playing the game. I had lobster the other night. Oh, delicious.
I think if my mother had her way, we'd have lobster twice a week.
It's time for the trumpets. And now it's time for that segment of our show called Is It Bullshit or Not? And I'm going to start you off with one tonight. And it's very relative to some of the discussions we had.
Yeah, you've got war on your brain tonight.
Are you okay?
I don't know. Well, no, it must be all those fires in California.
Oh, it's just terrible.
Terrible. I mean, I wrote a poem, if you remember. Did you remember the poem I wrote called California's Burning? It was published.
Mm-hmm.
Did you write these fires into existence?
They existed at the time. And
different ones.
after I wrote that and it was published, they had like 2 months of rain. It was unprecedented rain and
so
snow.
you better write another poem.
Well, we love that. Get writing.
So maybe I need to write another poem. Anyway, there we are. But my first, is it bullshit or not? World War II started with Adolf Hitler, Chancellor and Supreme Ruler of Germany's annexation of the lands known as the Sudetenlands in 1938 and 39. Is this true or is it not?
That's a great question.
How do you feel about it, Ashlyn?
I never paid attention in history.
I didn't ask you that question.
You know,
I'm going to say no.
You're going to say that is not true.
I'm going to say it's bullshit.
You're going to say it's bullshit. You want me to read it again?
yeah, I do.
World War II started with Adolf Hitler, Chancellor and Supreme Ruler of Germany's annexation of Germany, and it's of his annexation of the lands known as the Sudetenlands. It's part of Czechoslovakia in 1938 and 39.
I will say your pronunciation of Sudeten is wrong. It's bullshit.
There's no checking of facts here.
Well, I do know a little bit about Germany.
I feel like it might be factually true, but not the start.
It is not true.
Ah!
It's very, very much thought to be the case. And then Poland after that. And then he started with France. And then he got into it with Russia, and that was a bad
My
move.
intuition was right.
That's not the case. World War II started with Japan's invasion of China and the rape of Nanjing. You may have heard this. And it was a brutal attack on that country, and that's what began the World War. And it's commonly not suggested that that's the start, but there are many that believe that that's the case. So that's my bullshit or not, and now you know. And is anybody else interested in including do you have a bullshit story tonight?
Callum said he's got plenty of bullshit.
You know what? I do have my fair share of it.
All right, well, give us one, and we'll say yes or no.
Can it be made up bullshit?
Isn't all bullshit made up?
Well, it's like bullshit that's made up. Does that make sense? So it's like not, is it true or
you mean
false?
You didn't prepare it?
No, it's prepared. Let me just ask and see what you think.
All right, hit us.
Okay. So I actually asked this. So I was a teaching assistant when I was in graduate school. And I actually asked this to my students. And I said, if you can give me a good rationale to your answer, there may be some extra credit here.
I always liked extra credit. I was just relying on the extra credit all the time.
Listen, these were freshmen, first years. I'm like anything to get them off of their phones.
Okay.
I go, people or mermaids, right? Are we familiar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And why give them the job of maid? Okay, go on.
Right? Anyway.
Merpersons.
Are they marine mammals or are they fish? There's a wrong answer.
Do they...
So you're supposed to phrase it. You're not supposed to ask us a question.
Oh.
You're supposed to phrase it as a bullshit or not. But so you could have said marine mammals
He's got tough.
The bullshitter messed up. And I'm referring to myself.
Okay.
James has got very strict rules.
All right, so you can answer that question.
I was going to say, do they give birth to live offspring?
Oh, what are you, J.D. Vance or something?
No, I'm just going to say that if they're...
All I can say is that's for you to decide and to be confident with.
What's the question?
I'm going to say that they're mammals
The
because...
question is, are mer people marine mammals or fish?
In The Secret of Rona Nish, the mer person leaves the water. Well, I guess that was a selkie. I don't know. And I mean, they mate with humans, so I'm going to say they're mammals.
I think this is a trap. I'm not answering.
It's not a trap. It's not a trap, I promise.
I believe they're mammals.
Is that your final answer?
Well, yeah, I mean, you get the extra credit regardless as long as you come up with a very good argument.
Correct, but you might not get the full points.
Because in your mind, you've chosen one over the other?
Which isn't fair, but I didn't disclose that.
All right.
Do you want to hear my answer?
Yes.
I believe they're marine mammals.
Oh. I'm glad we covered that.
And what kind of rationale did some of your students come up with to say that they're fish?
I got a lot of the scales allegations.
Because mammals don't have scales.
Yeah, they're like, that's suspicious, fishy, if you will. Someone said that the seashell coverings on the front part of a merperson makes them a fish.
A female merperson.
Oh, they cover they cover up the breasts?
Yeah. And I went...
That makes them more of a mammal.
That was only for Disney. If you see them in their actual environment, there's no covering.
Ooh, I like them better.
I think you're reaching here.
Okay.
I think you're reaching here.
All right.
But anyway, I guess that was...
So everybody got the credit, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you tried to answer, I gave full points. I talk a big game, but I look for points to give, not to take away.
And Dr. Komorek, do you have anything for us this day?
No, I don't.
I'm
opting out of...
Just not a bullshit kind of gal. No shit about her. Hey, we're going to do trumpets and waves. And now it's time in our show where we promote businesses in our community, some really odd and some not so odd businesses, but we find the oddest ones to support us, it seems. Here's one. Salty's Saltwater Car Wash, located along Ferry Landing's East Causeway, offers year-round saltwater rinses for your car. We don't use any harmful soaps, only natural sponges harvested from the sea and harvested ground kelp as slippery medium to wash the grime from your vehicle. You can eat the stuff we're washing your car with. All saltwater spray is clarified and all oils are removed from the water before returning it back to Narragansett Bay. We will remove the grime, but if the salt spray you're trying to remove, you'll have to hit the mainland for a different experience with fresh water. Visit Salty's. We're open 24/7. Very much up the line of what we've been discussing here about coastal stuff and Narragansett Bay and Nazis. The next sponsor, Cole's Bad Gift Shop, is offering a price reduction on all 10, 25, and 50-pound bags of coal, complete with a Christmas stocking during our after-holiday sale. Come on down and get a bag of coal for that person that pissed you off the most during the holidays. That's Kohl's bad. I don't know how long Kohl's going to be in business. Because that does not sound like a good idea, pissing people off. The holiday police will be around during the next 3 weeks to remind you to take down your holiday lights, decorated trees, and outdoor wreaths as it's January 8th. Chief of Holiday Police, Joan Alimentage, says, "You know who you are. Take 'em down before we take 'em down."
Does this hold true on the north end as well? Because I've got some neighbors who have a whole scene that's going to stay up into February.
Oh, you got to get that down somehow. I mean, we got to get Joan Alimentage. She has the name that's appropriate for this type of work. Her first name is Alignment. Love it. PSA, this is a public service announcement for those of you that don't know the acronym. Homeowners living in Blue Green, Dinton, and Howland Avenues are reminded to visit Town Hall for your holiday candy expenditure reimbursement. Given that the town has restricted trick-or-treating to just 3 streets in town, all homeowners on these 3 streets where Halloween trick-or-treating is permitted are eligible for a reimbursement up to $500. Reimbursement can be picked up between the hours of 2 a.m. January 1st and 3 a.m. at Town Hall. All other requests at other times will be denied.
I really feel like we should take Halloween back.
And the flag.
And the flag. That's true. We talked about that in the past.
Yes. Halloween and the flag.
I think, we should
It's got to be dispersed
give out
more
things
evenly.
that you can't possibly get in town. 2-pound candy bars or whatever, just to disrupt this whole stranglehold that the town officials have on the holiday.
They're clustering, and you probably don't know this as you're from somewhere in Maine. And Telus and Milt, they probably don't have this issue, but we have an issue with there's 3 streets that are commonly like the common area. People just go
People
up
are
and down.
encouraged to come to town and trick or treat just on these 3 streets, and then go jump around in foam at the fire department.
But why
it
are they
means that nobody else gets anywhere on the island gets trick or treaters.
And then I have to eat all that candy.
I've heard of this phenomenon in procedure. Like now they have what's it called, trick or boot or something.
Oh yeah.
And these parents go to like a church parking lot or school parking lot, and they'll open the tailgate, and the kids go around.
It's called trick or trunk.
Trick or trunk.
I didn't look that up. I just knew that.
Because you're so smart.
And in Maine, they call the trunk the boot.
In the boot. Yeah. Good. All right, so I got to keep going with these public service announcements. Sounders Yacht Share offers partial ownership of yachts and small watercraft through shared partnerships that last a lifetime. Timeshare a boat or a large yacht. Why pay millions when you can own a third of a boat? You're not using it every weekend anyway. Call Sounders Yacht Share. Not a bad idea, right? It probably exists. Other than at Sounders. I mean, there's probably competition for that one. So any discussions about our commercials? Anybody need clarification?
Nope.
right.
I'm just making my plans for next Halloween. Take Halloween back.
Take it back.
We're taking Halloween and the flag back. And I can only describe where the flag has gone. It seems to be on pickup trucks. I'm actually thrilled that my friend Charlie Ewers, he's a poet from Westerly, Rhode Island, and he gave me permission to read 2 of his poems this day, and I thought I would, and they're really cool poems. It's called "Christ Came Again," And I thought you might like this one. Will you like this one, Ashland?
I'm not going to judge it based on the title.
Well, I was just seeking your attention because it's poetry. You have to have attention.
He's questioning whether I was paying attention.
That was. So you were looking down at your...
I was looking at where we are in your script.
Christ Came Again by Charlie Ewers, great poet. Christ came again this past week, appearing first at a downtown deli mid-afternoon. The pastrami looks nice, he said, but I think I'll go with the brisket. Stuffed. You could feel a multitude with what they piled on my plate, he said. Then he headed uptown. Along the way, he noticed the many signs prohibiting, among other things, parking, standing, jaywalking, and dogs without leashes. And I thought we Jews had too many laws, he sighed. While he was waiting for a light to change, a man with dark glasses handed him a card that said, "Girls, girls, girls, 24 hours. Ever hear of a woman named Mary Magdalene?" Christ inquired. "Nice-looking woman. Stands about 3 cubits. Dark hair, wide hips." By the time he got this question out, Dark Glasses was halfway down the block. Farther on, an ornate stone building caught his attention. Entering through a great wooden door, he beheld upon one wall what must have been a portrait of himself, for his name appeared prominently at the base of the painting. Flattering, but what's with the blue eyes, he wondered. Turning, he saw his ceramic likeness nailed to a cross. "Oy, oy, that's much closer to the truth," he muttered. Night had fallen, and he was attracted by the flames leaping from a can at the end of an alleyway. As he approached the light, he saw perhaps a dozen figures huddled about the fire. One of them, a man in rags, thrust a bottle in his hand. "Check this out, J.C.," the tattered man said. Jesus drank heartily, for he was thirsty, but the drink was sickly sweet. "Perhaps you'd like some of mine," Jesus offered, whisking a bottle of his own from the folds of his cloak. Once he had tasted it, the ragged man called his friends to sample the new wine. Pressed to name the wine by the motley band, Jesus smiled and said, "Galilee Gold." During the next 2 hours, Jesus was amused by their collective mirth and thought the high five an exquisite expression of joy, although it did become a bit irksome, producing a new bottle as if magic every 10 minutes until they were asleep. Weary, Jesus knew that he too must rest. He rejected the Sheraton Metropolitan, $248 a night. "And what do I need with 2 beds?" he sputtered. He remembered seeing the river and the many bridges that spanned it on his journey during the day. "One of those will be my roof tonight," he thought. "It will keep me dry while I contemplate tomorrow. There's so much to do. I'm not sure where to begin, although that gaping wound at the tip of the island could certainly use some healing." That's Christ Came Again. He's funny, and I think I like the man. It's very interesting.
I thought it was going to keep going.
Yeah, probably. And another, it does. I have one called A Memo from the Commissioner of Education. And I'll read this one. It's a shorter one. There it is. A Memo from the Commissioner of Education by Charlie Ewer. I tell you, kids, the stakes are high. To graduate, you must show mastery. When you take our tests, now standardized, there'll be no child left behind. Trust us. Better testing is the key. I'll tell you, kids, the stakes are high. Do not question. Stifle those wise. Ignore your squalor and drug dependency when you take our tests, now standardized. Your mother's tricks, dad's doing time, too bad. But we're not talking sociology. I tell you, kids, the stakes are high. You need a goal. That's no lie. And we've provided a great one. You'll see when you take our tests, now standardized. Be glad this motivating tool hereby is slipped to you by the state's bureaucracy. I tell you, kids, the stakes are high when you take our tests, now standardized.
That's so true.
He was
Sad,
an
but
educator, and I don't know if we're going to go for one more. Do you want one more of Charlie's?
Sure.
Do we have time, Doctor?
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Komorik. Divine Shrink. This is entitled by Charlie Ewer. Divine Shrink. God's psychiatrist is weary. On call 24/7 ad infinitum. You can see why. The pay is great, $200 an hour, he asks, and Jehovah doesn't even blink an eye. And the perks are nothing to sneeze at. A cushy office, embossed stationery, immortality. But how do you keep your enthusiasm when all you hear is the same old crap? I mean, you tell the big guy over and over, let it go. You screwed Job. Everyone makes mistakes. He's dead. You're sorry. Case closed. That's all you can do. And he says, no, I am who I am. I can do better. If Doc's lucky, old Yahweh doesn't bring up all the others. He's stiffed big time. Lot's wife, Bathsheba, husband, or Lemuel, Noah's hapless brother-in-law, who ran back to his coop to get another chicken and missed the freaking ark. If really goes smoothly for the shrink, and now he's thumbing his appointment calendar for today, Tuesday's the 27th, as if he thinks he might actually be surprised, but he's not. God's due in for his daily at 10. That's inevitable. So there's nothing for Doc to do but yawn and draw another smiley face in his desk blotter and think about returning that call to Beelzebub, who's been bummed since the fruit scam tanked and he got the boot from the garden. Divine Shrink by Charlie Ewers. Great poet, great poems, and lots of fun. We recite poetry in Westerly once monthly together. It's a good time.
It's kind of interesting how you can get to sort of create a picture of a person if you listen to enough of their poems or stories.
Isn't that true? I was walking the streets recently, and I saw, I do a little bit of walking now and again, just so I can get my heart rate.
Clarify that walking the streets part.
Well, I wasn't trying to solicit anyone, if that's what you're
You
suggesting.
weren't lurking.
I wasn't lurking. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't seeking lobsters crawling up into lobster pots. However, I did see Omar Stutz and then Raymond. What's Raymond's last name? Velez, I think his last name is. And they were walking together, and they're just talking, and prompted me to write a little story about Omar and Raymond.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's called Wearing Out the Sidewalks. Not this again, Omar states while shaking his head, trying to keep up with his friend Raymond while they take their daily walk before lunch. Let me put it this way. If my dishwasher is failing after 8 years, and if I'm buying a dishwasher in a country of nearly 400 million people, percentages have it that 8 to 9 million people are buying dishwashers at the same time. What I want to do is somehow pre-qualify and then identify that group of potential customers and to negotiate better pricing in advance. So it's sort of like a group power buying consortium, Raymond says, as his arthritic hands fumble with a cap from his water bottle. He finally opens it and takes a huge slug of water. I don't know a thing about it, not even sure how to spell it, but AI can get those dishwashers answers for you. What I do know is that it's important to drink a lot of water even on a cold day like this one. Who makes that bottle? It looks like a good one, Omar asks as he walks astride Raymond, kind of hustling to keep up, adjusting his steps periodically in a jerky motion, making him look like a skunk crossing the road. That's a myth, Raymond says quickly. A myth? That's a strange brand name for a water bottle, Omar says as he hustles up Catunquit Hill past the Three Brothers, which are 3 homes built by the same builder during the Victorian era that overlook Narragansett Bay. The homes originally owned by brothers somehow survived the fires of the gas lamp era to become fully renovated modern homes in the 21st century. You can drown your cells in water. It causes major organ failure. Your cells can't function if they're flooded, Raymond says. I always thought you'd just piss it out. God knows I piss about 20 times a day, Omar chimes in. You think so, but you've seen these kids sucking on that bottle all day long and drinking quart-sized iced coffees even in the winter. They're never thirsty. They've never known thirst. There's something wrong with that, Raymond says. I bring a full bottle to pickleball, Omar interjects. I sweat a lot, but I also piss a lot. It's a fine balance I'm looking for. That's the fine balance that I'm looking for, Raymond says, as he turns on Howland Avenue. I'm reading Mayflower by Philbrick. Have you read it? Omar asks as he strides to keep up with Raymond. His new Patagonia coat that his granddaughter gave him for Christmas is scraping against the unmaintained privet hedge jutting into the sidewalk. Give me some space, will you? Slow down. I'm dying over here, Omar requests. I read it. Fact is, we're walking on a road named after the descendant of the Mayflower by the name of Howland. He and Winslow were involved in the early peace treaties with the indigenous folks that lived in a place called Soams. It's near current-day Warren and Barrington in the East Bay area, where Chief Massasoit lived. Peace treaties didn't work out too well for those folks, Omar responds while shaking his head in disgust. But Howland made a really wide road, didn't he? Raymond observes. Wide? Yes, wide. Must be a reason. Maybe to get fire trucks to the other side of the island. I don't know. Maybe the water tower, Raymond includes without explanation. The two crest the hill. Omar walks, jogs in the breakdown lane as Raymond fills the entire sidewalk with his arms swinging like a Nazi stormtrooper. They see the icy beach in the distance as water's waves pummel into the shoreline. Beyond the sand dunes, a mix of water, ice, chunks, and sections of beach grass, clumps, and roots, and all extend into the street and glisten in the sun. Happens almost every storm now, Raymond remarks disgustedly. I know it's a damn shame. I'm not showing up next spring again for the seagrass planting with you and the rest of the land trust folks, Omar says while shaking his head and waving at the expanse of beach and the roadway extending by the West Park out to the Rat Tail Hollow. You giving up? Quitting on climate change? Raymond asks. I'm 73. Let's leave that to the young people, Omar says. Yeah. We can leave them to climate change, global warming, worldwide terrorism, the scourge of the AR-15, and nuclear rearmament. Throw in a few pandemics, floods, twisters, and some crazy despotic fascist leaders in government. Seems the least we can do now that we messed all that shit up is plant a few hundred seagrass plants, Raymond rants. You've got a point. I'll join you in April. Don't worry. I never say no to you, Ray. Omar agrees. It's a Mint Bridge bottle, the water bottle you were asking about. I wasn't going to tell you. I got it where I get all my water bottles at the end of the year at the golf course. They line them up against the wall like roadkill, and I see something I like and wait a week or two, and then on the last day, jam it into my golf bag. I got one orange colored and one yellow Mint Bridge this year. I looked it up. They're like $40. People leave good stuff everywhere. For example, I haven't bought a golf ball in 10 years. After the last day of the season, I bring my ball catcher device, my ball bag, and I walk the woods on the first hole, pick up 4 dozen Pro V1s, and on the 2nd of December against this, like it happened again this year. That's genius. 4 dozen, wow. They're about $60 a dozen. Great. Omar screeches out what's left of his breath. He's still trying to keep pace with Raymond as they turn north and navigate the construction vehicles parked along Mid-Island Highway. 3 dozen Callaways, too. You play Callaway Super Softs, don't you? Most of the Callaways are Super Softs. I'll give you some next time we play in April. That'd be nice, Omar says, while pointing at the newly constructed modern home on Benfield Cove, on the Benfield Cove side of the street. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It blocks the sun. They all do, Raymond says, before Omar can utter a word. I went to a party when Marie was still alive in late 1990s, maybe earlier, in that house they knocked down. It was a really fine house. It had a huge, multi-sided fireplace, the small compartment in the back where they used to hide slaves that were in there on their way north during the days of the Underground Railroad. I can't believe they were permitted to knock that down, Omar says incredulously. What is Cindy cooking today at the center? Raymond asks. Cindy doesn't cook it. It comes from Cranston or Providence. Catering company does the whole senior center circuit. It comes in heated trays in a truck. I saw them bringing in the back one day and when I came early. She wears a smock, and she's always stirring stuff. I thought for sure it was her home cooking, Raymond says, disappointed. Why didn't you ever tell me that? It's pressed meat, for Christ's sake, Gray. You can't tell the difference? No, I guess it's been so long. How long have we been walking 3 miles and eating at the center afterwards, Omar? I don't know. Long time, Omar says, stopping Raymond in front of Catunquit Market, grabbing him by the sleeve of his tanned Carhartt canvas coat, interrupting his frenzied pace. We don't have to. We don't have to go to the center today, Omar says haltingly. What do you mean? We always go to the center for lunch. That's exactly what I mean. We always go, and we always sit with Tommy, and he complains about your serve, says every day that your serve is illegal, and every day you explain the rules of the game of pickleball to everyone at the table. You do realize that most of them are deaf, Ray. I feel like we're in a play, and we do our lines every day, and that we're stuck, like we're stuck, Ray. We're stuck. It's getting old. We're getting old, Omar says as his breaths become less labored and more even. I always thought you liked it, Raymond says sadly, his head hanging, yet kind of twisted. Ray, listen, my Marie's been dead, God rest her soul, for 10 years, next month, come February. Raymond interrupts. The 26th at 7 p.m., I was there. Seems like yesterday. It wasn't yesterday, Raymond. And Dottie's been gone 15 years. I mean, it's maybe time we moved on. Omar pleads. Move on? Like how? What do you mean? Raymond asks. Come on, let's walk and talk. Omar leads Raymond across the street next to the white church. A gust of wind twists the wreath hanging on the door of the church. Its needles nearly all blown off. It looks like a bundle of brown branches all twisted together, spinning in the wind. We're going by the church. We missed the turn to the center. Are you serious? We're not going today? What about Cindy? She ordered for us online. I mean, it's not right. It's disrespectful to Cindy, Raymond says as they cross the street and head east, passing the old cemetery. Cindy will be okay. She'll miss you, not me. She clearly likes you, always talking to you about economics and history, Omar says. She's nice. Too young. Said she was 68, Raymond responds. It's just a number. You're in good shape. You play golf, too. I saw her with Nancy Sentry, Audrey Tempo, Gene McAuliffe, and a foursome last day at Catunquit Country Club was open. She never really mentioned she plays golf, Raymond remarks quietly, almost to himself, quizzically. Raymond and Omar pause in front of the church at the crosswalk. Raymond searching for something across the street at the cemetery, examining and squinting at a stone wall and gardens adjacent to the sidewalk from a distance. A car passes by, and they cross. Raymond darts over, walking purposefully to the icy snow-layered garden, and stops suddenly. Look at that, Omar, Raymond states while pointing with his index finger at the flower beds encrusted in the winter's grip of ice and a silver layer of shiny snow. Raymond bends down at the waist, and then slowly goes into a deep knee bend, crouching as if looking down the length of putter at the long birdie putt. Crocuses imagine that they're... Crocuses. Imagine that. There are crocuses. Brave crocuses finding their way through the ice, he says while looking up, a tear in his eye that he tries to wipe away quickly, but it has too much momentum and it spills atop the plaque that reads, "This garden cared for by volunteers of the Catunquit Garden Club." It's the stone wall. The sun heats the stones, keeps the soil warm. They're always the first to pop. Too early this year, Omar says, while smiling at his friend who's squatting at the flower bed, touching the purple petals of one crocus, a crocus with enough optimism and will to break through winter's grip. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. To think that I would have never seen it. Raymond stands slowly, his creaky knees talking to him as he rises. A little bit of hope, right? Omar adds. Definitely, Raymond responds. You never know what you'll find. Sometimes the best way home is the least familiar path, Omar says while helping Raymond straighten up to an erect position as he supports his elbow. Ray looks down at Omar's helping hand in a nod of acceptance. Raymond wipes the moisture from his nose with the fabric on the back of his glove, shaking his glove at the ground to remove the glob of wet snot. Omar looks away in disgust. Jesus Christ, Ray, really. You hungry? Raymond asks. Not after that display, but we are supposed to eat at 12:30, I guess. We never eat in a restaurant. How about the lunch at the Oaks? I'm buying. You have your cell phone with you, Raymond says. Yeah, Omar responds. Call Cindy. Tell her we won't be in for lunch today. Tell her to hold off eating lunch and to stop by the Oaks after the shift. Raymond directs Omar with instructions. Why don't you tell her yourself, Omar asks. Just do it, please. It's been a lot today, Raymond says. They walk slowly together up the uneven sidewalk beneath the chestnut tree. The pulverized shells of once pointy and sharp chestnut husks litter the sidewalk. Omar falls behind as he fumbles with his cell phone, at first trying to use it with his gloves and then removing one glove. Raymond sits on the bench in front of the church in front of a sculpture of Mother Mary and Jesus. He turns to look at the two religious icons dressed in white marble, and then gazes at Omar. He can't hear his friend, but Omar's head is nodding positively as Omar shifts from one foot to another like a teenager. Raymond shakes his head, smiles as Omar approaches with his right arm and hand above his head like he just won the Newport Marathon. What did she say? Raymond asks immediately. Cindy's in. She said she'd be right over after lunch, but about 1:30. That'll be right. That'll be good, right? That'll be great, right? That will be great. Sometimes you never know, Omar says. What if we double back and look at it again, and then get another walk in. By the time Cindy will be at she'll be at the Oaks, and we can all eat together, Raymond says. That's what we will do. We'll do it. Follow me, Raymond says, walking briskly up the sidewalk. Hold it, Omar barks. Raymond stops and turns around. If we're walking, that's okay. But how about if we walk at my pace this time, Omar asks. Whatever you need, my friend. But let's stop to see that crocus, okay? Of course. And that's the end. So
That was nice, yeah.
Little slice of life.
I noticed a lot of little landmarks, too, from Catunquit.
Yeah, it's a Catunquit desk, right from the Catunquit Chronicles, right? Mm-hmm. And we have, in this podcast is dedicated to the people of Catunquit, and these are just two people that, they're finding meaning in life, right, at an elderly age. So here's to Omar and certainly to Raymond. And Cindy, too, whose life may change, too. You never know.
And have you ever had lunch at the senior center?
I have. It's pressed meat. No, I think
is pressed meat
I don't
cold
know.
cuts? What the heck
I
is
don't
pressed
really
meat?
know. It was
Like a bologna situation?
You know what? They do
Spam?
a lot of things well there.
Spam is pressed.
That day I ordered something that wasn't what I expected.
Was it unrecognizable?
No.
Was it like college food?
I don't want to suggest that the Catunquit Senior Center is not what it is, and it provides a good service for folks. Had a lot of salt in it. I didn't like the salt. I think it was supposed to be shepherd's pie, which I really enjoy, but it didn't do for me. And the portions are small. It's not for me.
I think the best thing they probably offer
I should say yet.
is community.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Feeding the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also important to take a different path once in a while. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We all follow these. I know you don't.
I get bored easily.
You do. So you're going to go and climb.
I'm kind of the same way.
Have you climbed Mount Katahdin?
I actually have.
Yeah.
I hiked the 100-mile wilderness in Maine when I was 17.
That's the right thing to do. I agree.
And how many moose did you wrangle or wrestle or whatever the term was?
It was lobsters coming out of the forest.
Yeah, the weirdest part was the lobsters on the trees. But besides that, I didn't see any moose or bears.
Probably a good thing.
That's okay.
It was a good thing. I did make the mistake of walking through a river in my hiking boots and not changing into my other shoes to walk through the river and then to get back into my dry hiking shoes. But I feel like I couldn't. I feel like that was a 17-year-old decision that was made, and I think that was probably appropriate.
And did you pay the price?
I sure did. It was giving a trench boot.
Oh, trench boot or did you get blisters too?
Oh yeah, I think actually people pay for this service. Like you can go to a.
You pay for blisters?
Shed all the skin.
Yeah,
off your feet?
you can get some kind of foot peel, and you're like a layer's foot just like sloughs off. But I did it for free.
Oh.
I think you can also go and put your feet in the tank with the little fish.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. For the fish. But I imagine it's really weird for a person to put their feet and be bitten by fish all the time.
You don't think it's weird for the fish?
I was about to say, do you think they had a choice in the matter?
No.
They're very hungry. If they eat my feet, anything on my foot should not be eaten. I won't have to say that. We're going to leave that.
They're non-discriminatory.
I think we should say goodbye, farewell, at Wiedersehen, goodbye. Goodbye, farewell, at Wiedersehen, goodbye. Speaking of Nazis, right?
I know, big Nazi tropes today.
He worked the Nazis into his story, too.
You know, they always pop up, don't they?
Yeah, there's Nazis everywhere.
I don't know what's going on at home.
So we're going to say goodbye to all of you folks, and we're going to say something clever at the end. something clever at the end. I said that we were going to say something clever at the end,
And
we
that
did.
was it.
So that was all, and I'm going to say goodbye. But did you have anything else to add? Has this been a valuable experience, or is it just something you're going to forget about and go home to the 500
try
square
to forget
feet?
about it.
This really made an impression on me. I enjoyed my time.
Does it change your life?
Yeah,
We'll close the door again.
I'm forever changed.
Okay.